Recording has started.
Nitin, how many other people do we have in the batch besides Ramana and I?
We have one more, I think Sudhakar.
Oh, that's it. One more. Okay.
Yeah, and there was one person who was joining, from the previous batch. So he
Right.
just wanted to attend few of the sessions, which he missed
right.
actually. Yeah,
The reason I was asking that was, okay, Sudhakar's right. Yes, never mind.
yeah. Anything else, I mean? Anything specific?
No, never mind. Since I was out yesterday and I didn't get a chance to recap the video from yesterday's class or the previous day's class, right?
Oh,
I was
okay.
thinking it's better to, if there's other students are not making it, maybe we cancel this. But that's okay. Now that we have both of them here, so just let's
Yes,
proceed.
yeah. We had both of them. Yeah. So, yes, so Paddy, you can go and watch the yesterday's session. That was pretty important. Uh, but yeah, so we have already seen that. Uh, so yesterday, what we have seen is, we have used this query result to grid component. Okay, so this component is used to load our grid variables. So what we did earlier here, I think, so we had mentioned these static values of the grid variable. Okay, but
Right.
in this job, using the query result to grid component, we can load the values of the grid using the table in Snowflake. Let's say I have this configuration table, like file loading info, and I have the same values there, my SF table name, file name, and delimiter. So I'm trying to load this table value into my grid columns or the grid variable. These are the columns of the grid, and these are the columns of my query. So I'm assigning the values to the grid column. Okay, and then I am using the same grid iterator component and my SLOad component. Uh, Similarly, to use the grid variable, right, or grid variable column, we will also need to define the job variable as well. So we have defined the job variable because here we are doing the mapping from grid column to job variable, right? So since using the previous component, we have loaded the grid columns. Now we are assigning the grid column to the job variable, and only one value get assigned at a time, right? Because only one loop will run, and then it will continue to execute. Similarly, we have seen the way we use query result to grid component to load the value of grid variable. We can use query result to scalar component to load the value of uh, the job variable or the scalar variable. Okay, so the reference here is the query result to grid component. The this query, we can expect more than one row, but in query result to scalar, that says it's a scalar variable. Okay, we should have only, I mean, the output of this query should always be only one row. Okay, if we have multiple rows, then our job will throw an error. Okay, and then as an scenario, what we did, once this dim people, SF people table gets loaded using this component, we are just checking whether the count, what is the count of rows in SF people table, and we are assigning that count to a job variable here in the scalar variable mapping. And then using if condition, we are checking if my JV count is greater than 0, then only process the my JV dim, right? Because many times it may happen that we get only the empty files, right? And why should we run this job if the file is empty? So we are just checking that as an additional step. Okay. Now today there is some different topic. Uh, Yeah, so today, we'll just check how can we access our EC2 machine. So as I have been saying continuously that our Matillion is installed on that EC2 machine that we have launched, right? So we'll just try to see how can we log into the EC2 machine. There are different ways actually, but we'll just see using putty. Okay, and then as a next step, what we'll do, we'll work with we'll try to fetch the data from the RDS MySQL database to Snowflake using Matillion. Okay.
And you said the RDS is Azure, right?
No, this is relational database service of
Mhm.
AWS. So
AWS.
yes, yeah. So relational database service means it has different databases in it, Oracle, MySQL, Aurora. So we can, the way we install Oracle software on our laptop, similarly using RDS, we can launch any type of database. I think they have given 5 to 6 database which they support currently.
Yeah.
So we'll try to launch that in AWS. So um, so here now this is our EC2 machine, right, which is running. Now what I will do, it is not showing me. Okay, due to this. So what I will do, I will try to log into this using Putty. Okay, so I have that Putty downloaded, and uh, the way we log in to our URL using public IPv4 address, to log into our actual EC2 machine, we need the DNS name. Okay, so I will copy this DNS name. It is still a public DNS, and now I just need to paste it here in the login screen. So my default user to log into EC2 is CentOS. So CentOS as my username at the rate my URL. Okay, and the next thing that we need to do is to set up the SSH, right? I mean, uh, when you want to log into any machine or any Unix machine, either you can use your username or password, right? Or that can be a single sign-on as well. Okay, or now with AWS, when you launch an EC2 machine, if you remember, we had downloaded one key pair file, right? So that using that key pair, it is a kind of public file. Okay, so we can log in to that machine, right? So what I will do as an authentication is, instead of username and password, I will go to SSH, I will go to OAuth, and I will you know uh, so I will need an basically the PPK file. So what happened is, when we download the key pair, when we launch the EC2 machine, that key pair comes with the PEM file. Okay, that is an AWS kind of thing. Okay, but our putty need the PPK file. Okay, putty private key file like this. So what we'll do, this is my actually PEM file which I downloaded when we were launching the instance. So I will first try to convert this file to PPK file, right? Because this is a PEM file. So let's do that first. So for that we have this putty gen, right? That is putty key generator. So using putty gen, we can convert at any private file PEM file to PPK file, right? So here I'm selecting the PEM file. It's imported, and just to convert that to PPK, what we need to save as private key. I will say yes, and let me save it. Let's say KP MTL CD putty. Okay, so if I come here now, so this PPK file got created. Okay, and this was my PEM file. So I can use now this PPK file to basically log into my EC2 machine using putty, right? So here, what I will do, I will select that PPK file, right? Yeah, this one. So we click OK. If I go to session, yeah. So here we are able to log into our EC2 machine. Okay. So this is the kind of root space that we had given when we had launched this, around 40 GB. So 4 GB used for the Matillion, internally approximately 4 GB. Okay.
Is this like a Unix machine or?
Yes, it is a Unix machine with a CentOS filter flavor actually.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's like
Yeah,
a operating system, CentOS.
yeah, normal operating system. Right? And here on the top of that, our Matlin is running basically.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is how we can log into our EC2. But usually in your real-time project or organization, now what they follow is they have, you know, some applications or kind of an SSO thing, single sign-on thing. With the help of that, you just need to click on your instance, and your key by default they have stored somewhere within that application. Okay, so you don't need to enter the username and password, anything. Okay, I'm saying specifically for these instances which are launched using the cloud. So just using a single sign-on, you would be able to log into this. Okay, so you don't need, because they will not provide you this PEM key with you. Okay, because that is risky. If you share that with anyone else, um, uh, uh, then that system become public, right? So anyone can access that. So that's why they provide the single sign-on to that machine. Okay. Now this is the our EC2 machine. Now the important of this, let's say, there are certain things in your project that couldn't be achieved using Matillion, right? So and you want to develop either a Python script or a Unix script for that, right? So you can write your Python and Unix script here, okay? And when you write here, you can store those Python and Unix script here, and you can call them from Matillion, okay, using the Python and the Unix component, okay. So ideally, when you call those script from your Matillion components, they will actually search here for the scripts, because that for that Matillion, the local machine is this, right? This EC2 machine is a local because it is installed on the top of this, right? So you can store your Unix and the Python script or any other thing what you need to store, you can store it here. If you need to store temporary files, right, you can store it here temporarily to do some processing. That's also fine. Now, next thing we'll cover is loading RDS data to Snowflake. Okay, but prior to that, if you see, we don't have any RDS database created. Okay, so first we'll create that in AWS. Then when we created that database is empty, right? So we'll try to load some sample data into that RDS database, which we will create it, which we will create. And then once sample data is loaded, then we'll try to fetch it using the Snowflake, sorry, using Matillion to Snowflake. Okay, so now uh, let's try to launch an RDS database in AWS. Okay, so what I will do, I will just go to RDS service. So you can launch in any way if you are working on in real time, if you're working on Azure or anything, right? So you can connect to that using Matillion. Okay, so here I'm just clicking on create database, and now if you see here, there are currently, maybe with the free tier, these six databases are supported to launch. So I will select the
Server needs to create, right? First, Nitin, not
this.
required.
No. Automatically, it is actually creating the server only. So we will get one IP address when we create this.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. We're not creating a specific database, but we're launching a database, kind of a machine, you can say. Okay. So giving that engine option is MySQL. Let's say this is my version. And now instead here, I will just create a free tier. Okay. Right. And maybe this is my database one. This is a database in, you can say, instance, DB instance, right? So this is my database one. Let's say my username is this is a master username, kind of admin. I'm keeping that admin and I'm giving some password here. Okay, I'm giving my password here. Now by default with uh, AWS free tier, we'll get the T2 micro instance. Right? That means my database will run on this T2 micro server. Okay, yeah, it will have the 20 GB allocated space. I'm not doing enable auto scaling. Uh, VPC is default, subnet is default.
VPC means
VPC is virtual private cloud, right? So as I showed you, right? So this is a kind of an subnet range, subnet range, network subnet range. So that is your network subnet range. So if you see, when we launch the Matillion, in this we have seen that, right? This is in the one VPC. Within that VPC, we have one public subnet, and within public subnet, our instance is launched. So it's an AWS concept. So this is a kind of master IP range, right? You can say. Within that, you will have your public subnet. Okay. See that. Mm, so these are kind of a private network, you can see, virtual private network. So this is our VPC, and it has a IP range of 172.31.0.0/16. So this many IP address will get covered within that VPC. And now under VPC we create the subnets. So we have these three subnet. So range is same. So you can assume this is a network range, you can say, or subnet range. So I'm selecting the security group. Uh, so I have this security group. I can select this, whatever is needed. Let me check. Uh, which is it? Which security group is attached to this? Launch user 2. So I can select only launch user 2. Yeah. So I have selected this security group. Okay. Availability zone I can, so it's okay. I can create on in any. Database authentication is password authentication. Okay. So I need to enter the username and password and rest it. Yeah. So this is how we will create a database. Okay. Basically we'll launch an MySQL database. Okay. We have given this admin password, admin we have given, storage we have given, VPC we have given, security group we have provided, and then we'll create a database. So it will just take few minutes.
So in terms of the cost, right, when you set up this database, is it free? Is it limited to certain things? What does that cost mean?
It is free actually, but yeah, free up to certain instance. So if you go back, it is free for some hours of running, basically. Yeah, if you see, Amazon free tier is available for you for 12 months, right? Each calendar month, the free tier will allow you to use the Amazon RTS resources for free. How many? Each month 750 hours of Amazon RDS in a single Amazon availability zone, DB D2 dot D2 dot micro. So micro instance will be available for 750 hours. 20 GB of storage will be available and 20 GB of automated backup will be available. Okay. So that means if you within a month, if you cross beyond this, you will get charged. Within a month, if you cross your storage beyond 420 GB, you will get charged. Right?
750 hours in 1 month. That's like
One month.
24/7, right?
That means
That's like 24/7 for. Oh, never mind.
yes.
So yeah. So in each calendar month, it's 750 hours. That's like 24.
Oh, is
That's like
it?
24/7 for. Yeah, right. More than that. More than.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
getting 24 hours every day.
Right. It says right each calendar month. So
Right.
that means it is free for
One
basically
year.
12, yeah, 1 year. You can say that. Yeah. But the thing is that if you create if your backup goes more than 20 GB or if your storage goes more than 20 GB, then they will charge you. That is, I think, one thing. Yeah. hmm Yeah.
So when you create your S3 account or the AWS account, do you have to provide a credit card information, or is it built
Yes.
app, or does it tell you that okay, you're about to cross the free limit and now we're going to start charging?
No. So at the time of creation, we need to provide our credit card details. But there are ways in the billing option. Okay, you can. you can set some setting there that you should get some email notification when some of the things happening. Okay. So there are options about the billing preferences and all.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Can we use a company mail ID for
For free tier, it's better to use yours.
normally if you use a company, can we get all the things?
No. So in company, you will not be having, this type of setup that you will be able to set up a free tier, right? So in company, they will have their own internal way of, log into their uh, Amazon console, right?
Normally, like for example, if I wanted to open retail, if I give my email ID, just if I give my company email ID,
Hmm.
right? I'm not asking about a company owned portal.
Okay. No, then that instance may get tagged to your company.
That is fine, but even though like, are we
No,
going to get
yeah, possibly. Then yeah, what they will do, right? Amazon will do, yes, this email is belongs to this company, and they will tag their resources to your company, so your company will get charged. So it's better to use your own personal email ID.
like without confirmation information, like even though if I use a company
Yes,
email ID
possibly.
directly, how they can charge? Are they going to charge directly?
No. They will not charge, but they will just tag their instances, right? I mean, they have
Huh,
just assumed that
company
this
company
customer.
comes like company can backtrack, agree, but if you give company ID, then if they provide some resources or some services also, like without agreement and all, like they cannot charge directly, right?
No, so company does also provide their credit card details. Okay, when they create the accounts,
So that
right?
everyone can access. You mean to say?
Yes. So, but usually, uh, that may be the issue with your employment if you try to use your company email in a free tier account, right? Because you're supposed to use your company email only within your company, right? Not outside of that. So that may be one of the issues. So we should not use the company email. So here we can, give our email address and we'll receive some of the billing alerts and everything. Okay, receive free tier usage alerts. So using this we can track, right? So if we get, uh, you know, uh, your credits outside of the free tier, then you will get charged and you will receive an email. Okay. Yeah. So it is backing up. It will take a minute or two more. Now what we'll do? Let me just stop share for a moment. Yeah. So what I will do now, um, so basically, as I said, right, once we launch this database, correct, uh, we need to load some sample data. Okay, so I already have one sample data, and this zip, what we'll do, we'll transfer this data first to, basically we transfer this file first to our EC2 machine, and then from there we will, load it to MySQL database. Okay, so I'm just using the Win SAP. Okay, basically, right? So now to log into that Win SAP, what we need to do, the same thing. I need to get that this public IPv4 DNS. Okay, once I copy this, I need to put here, right? My username is CentOS, and as a password, I will use my authentication. That is my PPK file, right, which I just created. This PPK file, I will use that, and then I will click OK. When I save it, I can just click on login. Okay, now when I do that, so yeah, so I have this file. What I will do, I will transfer this to my EC2 machine, okay, in the home CentOS. Yeah, so you see that file is available here now in EC2 machine. So I just transferred from my local to this machine. Now let me just unzip it. So basically it has the dump file in the sense it has those data files, okay, and it has one some SQL scripts, okay, that we will load to, that we will use to load to our database, okay. So basically these are dump files in the sense these are the data, okay, and this is my SQL file, okay. So if I open employees.sql, you will see, right? So it will first create the employees database, right? Then it will create the employees table. Then it will create the department table, department manager, department employee, salaries. Like way it will create this table, and then it will at then it will load those dump file to the specific tables. Okay, right? So this dump file will get loaded to my uh, database, right? Which I have just launched using this. So, so basically all these steps, so I have, created one document to, to process with this MySQL database. So what we did till now, we have launched the database. Now we will load the sample data to MySQL database, and then third step we'll fetch the data from my MySQL database using Matillion in Snowflake. So for launching, as always, I have created document. So what are the things we have just seen? So these are the things I have, entered here, right? And
How
then I
did you
will,
get those dump files, Nitin?
yeah, I got from some website. So I had that
Oh, okay.
data.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
not like you generated here from the
no,
database itself from S3
no.
or EC3. Okay. Okay.
So then we have just copied that file from local machine to Matillion using WinSAP, and we have unzipped that. And now, okay, so prior to loading the data, I need to have the my MySQL command line, right? So I will install that using sudo install command. What will do? It will install the MySQL client, right? Yeah. So it has got installed. So if you see version, so this is a MySQL client version. Okay, this is not a database version or kind of thing. Right? We
Actually,
just install it.
MySQL is available in AWS, right? You already installed.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, after that, again, what we need to do is put it.
No, I have not installed the database right here. What I'm doing, I'm installing the MySQL client, right? The way we use the our Snowflake workbench or others to connect from here, right? So that command line interface I have installed basically. Yeah. Now to load, what I need to do is I need to execute this command. Okay. Let me put it. Yeah. So what it says, to load the data, right, to MySQL database, I need to give my host name, port, username, then password, and then T as in file. I mean, which file you need to use. So I will use the employee.sql, right? So to get my RDS endpoint, what I will do, I will go back to AWS, go back to RDS. Yeah, if you see now it is available. When I click here, you will see this RDS endpoint. Okay, so this is my basically JDBC URL kind of thing that I need to that I need to connect. Okay, so this is my JDBC endpoint. So what I will do, I will just try to use this. Okay, before that, if I just need to check whether I'm able to connect to this or not, what I can do is I can just check. It's asking for password. Yeah, so I think it is not connecting because our security group port 3306 is not open. So what we need to do, we need to go to the security group, okay, here, and um, yeah, and here we need to allow the connection on the 3306 port. So they have already defined here, you see, MySQL Aurora, right? For this, the port is TCP 3306, okay. So even if you don't select that, I mean, if you don't select that, then it will not allow you. Even if you want to do it on TCP, then we can do that. But yeah, so we have, yeah, sorry, custom TPC, then we can specify the port. But yeah, we already have that defined, right? MySQL Aurora, correct? So it will, it will basically allow the connection on 3306 port from, let's say, 00. Okay, so I am just saving that here. So because this security group is attached to my RDS instance, right? So there I need the connectivity or inbound. Yeah, you see now we are able to connect to that MySQL, right? So if I use any command, yeah. So this is MySQL client that we installed previously on this. Okay, using that MySQL sudo yum install command. Okay, that we have installed. So if you see here, there are these four databases. These are kind of internal databases. Okay, so what we'll do now, we will try to try to load the data from our this dump file. Okay, using employees.sql file. So here, what I'm doing is I'm just entering this command. Then it is asking for password. You will see that creating database structure, loading departments, loading employees, loading department employee, loading titles. And I have that file on here, right? That sample file. If you want to, in future, if you want to refer, um, yeah, this one, TSDB master data.zip. You can download and you can follow the same steps in AWS RDS. Yeah. So is it rest of the file you got loaded? Maybe there is some issue with this, but yeah, that's fine. So now, if we connect to our MySQL database, yes, yeah. So we have this employees database. Okay. So I will see use employees, and if I see show tables, yeah, I will see all these tables, right? Which we have just created using that our file. We have departments, employees. If I select star from uh, employees, yeah, yeah. So these are the data available now in the table. Okay. The same steps I have mentioned here, right? How to use and how to load, right? Log into MySQL and check for the sample data using MySQL command. Okay. And here we have loaded this, right? Now, what we'll do, so clear on this part, launching and loading data. Okay. So now, now since the data is available now, okay. Now what I will do, I will try to fetch that data, okay, from my MySQL database to Snowflake using Matillion, right? This is very general scenario where our applications has, where our source system is in relational database and we need to fetch the data. Okay, I will create a job. Okay, now to fetch the data from RDS, we have RDS query component. Okay, this one. So what we'll do, we'll fetch, select that component, RDS query component, and here now I will give the details. Okay, so here also the same things is happening. Okay, we need to give source detail and then we need to give the target detail. So our target is Snowflake, similar to what we had in our sload component. So our source was S3 and target we were giving was our Snowflake tables detail. Okay, the same thing I need to do it here. Okay,
S3 was only using to fetch files only, right?
yes, sload is using file only. Yeah. So here now the database or the query component is RDS query component. Now what I will do, I will select my database type as my MySQL. Okay, so I'll select that. It is the same when we connect to any database, right? We give its JDBC URL, username, password, the same thing. Okay. Now in the RDS endpoint, uh, if you see my RDS would be uh, yeah. So this is my endpoint, right? This MAW9 AP South.
What is endpoint actually? Just can you please explain?
It is JDBC URL, you can say URL to connect to your database. Simple. The way we have our URL, right, or IP address to connect to database, that is an JDBC connection. You can say. Okay, so this is
Database type means database, not database. Is it name?
no database type is which type of database you want to query. Whether you want to query your Oracle database or Postgre database or MS SQL database, MariaDB. Since we have created MySQL database right here, so I'm just defining the type here, right? So my MySQL database I have selected that I need to pull the data from MySQL database, and now then which database? Then I am giving these details here. My RDS point is this, and my username, if you remember, which was admin. Okay, and then sorry, database name it is asking for. Sorry, database name is my employees, right? Which we have created. If you see here, right, our database is this employees, right? So I am giving that employees name and username is admin, okay, and password. Now password actually there are two ways. Either you can store it in component. So if you store it in component, right? If I enter this password, my password will get stored within this component only. Okay. But the thing here is that if you migrate this to the next UAT or production environment, you will not be able to change this password, right? Because you will not have write access in upper environment, right? So it's always better to store that as in a password variable. So to use the password variable or password manager, you need to click here and then we need to click on manage. Okay, so the way it has stored our this uh, Snowflake password, we can create another password variable. Let's say I'm saying MySQL pass or password and I'm entering my password. Okay, and then I will store it encoded. I'm just saying, let's say password for MySQL RDS admin user. Okay, so I have stored this password in a password variable. Simple. So then I will use this password variable, okay, to in that component to use that password. That basically that will pick the password, this password. So I created that, and now within the drop down I will select MySQL password. Okay, so this way I can store it using the password manager, or I can store it in component. But yeah, do not store it in component because that will be a static and you will not be able to change that in the upper environment. Okay, now click OK. Now, and this can also be here, created using this manage group password. Right? So you can, create that from here as well. So if you create something like test, okay, and if you again come here, the test will appear in the drop down, right? So we have an option. You can create it using test. Okay, my MySQL password. So now here, what I did, instead of using the store in component option, I have used the password manager, and I have created one password variable and store that password in that. Okay. Now in case if let's say after 3 months down the line or 6 months the password change, you can come back here, or admin can come back here and he can just edit that password. Basically he just need to edit that password here. That's it. Okay. That's easy.
And that was what was the option from the project drop down? The one where you just
Project
manage
this
password?
manage group password.
Project group process.
Yeah. And now what we need to do, yeah, if you give the your database name and your source username and password are accurate, then it will show me the all the tables within that database, right? Employees database. So what I can do now, if I want to get in data, let's just select start from departments, right? So I would see the department values here. Okay, so let me select the data from employees, and I will restrict it to, let's say, okay, how many record are there? I need to check. Yeah, so I have close to 3 lakh record. Okay, so either I can load all or I can load few. That's fine. Let me load first 1000 record. Okay, so what I'm doing, giving select star from employees limit 1000. So you can write any queries if you need to join anything, if you need to apply any filters, anything. So as per the source database syntax, you can write any queries, any query here. Okay. Now, if you need to provide any JDBC connection options, right? So connection time mode and all, you can provide it here. If you click on plus, you need to add that property here, that is property name, and give it value. Okay. The way when we connect to our any database, right, using Java applications or anything, we provide that JDBC options.
I'm sorry, what is this JDBC for one more time?
Your connection options that you pass, right? Whenever
Uh,
whenever you connect to a database, so you pass some connection options, right? Extra additional connection option if you see, so you can pass that.
like, for instance, what additional connection options?
Connection timeout. Let's say source database has set by default, let's say 2 minutes as a connection timeout, but we need to set more, so we can set that. Okay, so
Excuse me.
anything what we need to pass to our database, right, while connecting, we can pass that. uh, so this is the URL name. There are some driver properties you can pass. This is a minimum pool size if you need to pass, maximum pool size, max idle time. Okay, so these connection of options you can pass. Even if you want to connect to on some different port, you can pass the port number as an option and you can give its value. The default port is 3306, right? So that way you can pass these properties. Okay. Now standard, now these are the now next thing is the Snowflake related thing we are setting up, right? So we have set up the source, that is our database properties. Now we'll set up the Snowflake. Okay. So standard and external, that it means whether you want to load the data into some standard table or some external table in Snowflake. So for now I will select this standard. If you want to allow that which one is the primary key, you can set it. But for now that's fine. Now here we'll set up our Snowflake warehouse. So either I can keep default database name. Let's say I have created the environmental variable for that, so I will use that orders db, right? Schema is, let's say, public, right? And now target table. Okay, so target table, it will, what it will do, if that target table is present, it will there is an option whether we can create that target table again. I mean, drop the first one and create it again, or if you don't want to drop, then there is an option. So I will tell you. So for now, let's say I'm using the stage employees table. Okay, STG employee, and then here now before we set this property, this is important. So let's understand how this component works. Okay, so this is true with any kind of external component, okay, not just with the RDS. So what it does, when this component runs, it will fire this query, correct, to the source database, and it will get some result out of the source database, correct, from this using this source query. So that result is temporarily stored in some temporary files, temporary text file, you can say. Okay, and this property tells me where to store that temporary file. Okay, whether you want to store it on your Amazon S3 location or you want to store it on a Snowflake managed location. Okay, so if you use Snowflake managed, then that you don't need to provide your S3 location. But for now, let's say I'm giving the Amazon S3 location. Okay, and then it will just say me like which bucket you want to store that in. Okay, so here I have selected, I am saying that when this query is running, or when this query is so it's running on the database, so temporarily store that result set in this bucket. Okay, right? And now whether you want to encrypt that file or anything, that is what it is telling. Concurrency is how many concurrent threads you want to initiate on the source database. Okay, right? So what will happen based on that, it will create the number of it will, if we set the concurrency as 2, then the 2 threads will work in the parallel. Okay, right? And
As you said, like concurrency can be defined at project level, right? Then only it is going to work.
no, this is different concurrency actually. This is not that concurrency. This is the concurrency at database.
This is
Which
at
database?
source level, right?
Yes, yeah,
Not
source
target.
level. Correct. This is source level concurrency. And in the load option, now I have different option here, right? A clean stage file. So clean stage file means, uh, as I said, temporarily it will store that temporary file on this Amazon S3 location. Okay. So whether once the data is loaded to Snowflake, whether you want to clean this stage file or not, we can keep on or off. Usually we keep on. That means, I mean, why would we need the files once that is getting loaded to Snowflake, right? But just for illustration, I will keep it off. That I will show you how this file gets generated. Then is string null is null. That means within a string, if we get NULL as a text, right? Whether you want to assume that as a null or not database. Yeah, this recreate target table, whether you want to recreate the target table every time, so it's up to your choice whether you want to create or not. Yeah, now this is the file prefix. So file prefix is whatever the temporary files that will store on the S3, what you need to give the some prefix to that. Let's say I'm giving employee underscore. Okay, so it's just a prefix, and then it will add its you can say S related naming convention to that. Okay, and it will create a file on that bucket. Okay. and then trim if you want to trim that, and compression. So compression is either you can either you keep it plain text file or you can compress it. Usually for large file we select the ZZip as compression, and for smaller files there is no need to compress it. Okay, now let me run it once and then you will see how the
And this is still all
things
of
happen.
the staging file, right?
Sorry.
No, the configuration that you're doing is for the staging file, right?
Yes, yes, staging file in the sense temporarily the file which hold the result that will get stored on this in this bucket. Okay,
Then what's your end?
that is what, right? So
What's your
as
end
I
target
said,
is?
correct, correct. Yeah. So we'll let you know. So how this component works? It will fire this query, it will get the result, store it in some temporary file on this location, and then finally using the same copy command in Snowflake, it will load that file to this table. Okay, the same way here we were doing. So since our file was already available on S3, it was
Right.
using that copy command, right, to load it to Snowflake, and that is why it needs that temporary location to store your file. So it will fire this query, store the result set on this temporary location in the temporary file, and using copy command, it will load the stage employee table in Snowflake. Okay, now if you see here 1000 records got loaded. Now first thing, let's check in stage employee table. Yes, yeah. So I got the data, correct? And yeah, it was created today, right? Okay. And we have got the data. Now let's check how it store the files. So if I go to S3, since I have given my bucket name, so under that bucket name, that file is stored. Yeah, you see these two files. We had given the prefix as emp underscore, right? So it has stored emp underscore. Then this is normal S3 naming, whatever the naming convention that they give some file, part 0 and part 1. And why two files? Because we had set the concurrency to 2. If I set concurrency to 3, okay, and now let me give some different.
And also like we don't have any schema name in source. We have a like we are fetching data from table, right?
Yeah, so with MySQL database, the recent versions, they just give us a table name. Sorry, the database name and the table name. So there is a kind of a new, you can say, architecture with AWS. So they don't have the schema name. So now let's say I'm giving a prefix name as employee2 underscore, okay, and my concurrency is 3. So if I run it again, yeah, run is successful. If I refresh it, yeah, you see these 3 files got created, right? Employee2 underscore, employee2 underscore part 1, employee2 underscore part 2. Why 3? Because my concurrency is set to 3. That means 3 connections or 3 threads will work in the parallel to get the data from your MySQL database to S3, and then in S3 we will from S3 we'll load the to stage employee table using copy command. Right? Clear on this part?
Yeah, like in query like without condition, like can we see by going 1 and 3?
Sorry.
In query we are fetching only 1000 records, right? Instead
Mm-hmm.
of 1000, like if you can fetch entire table,
Yeah.
and can you see by using 1 and 3 concurrence?
Yeah. 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 So it will work, right? There is.
But like work, but
Yeah.
any difference?
It will same. It will work and the same, right? Because for that the query, that is only the query, right? Okay. Let's say 3.
First we can mention one concurrence one.
Okay. And I'm giving, let's say, employee concurrency 1 underscore. Yeah. Yeah, you see, it has created only one file.
Yeah, time actually, like there could be time difference, or will be there or will not be there.
The time difference is with, yes. So usually if we have larger file, we can have the, concurrency sum set based on your agreement with your source team.
This is the way only we need to define for performance.
Yes, yes,
How much time taken? 8 seconds for this job currently.
yes.
Only 8
Yeah,
seconds, right?
yeah. 8
If
second
you
to
make
load 3 lakhs record.
three,
If you make it to 3, probably it will work in some parallel. Yeah, now it approximately same because our data is less, right? If we have the data in million, then you will see the difference there. But yeah, we can have the concurrency defined, but it's all up to the source team as well, like how many concurrent connections they want to accept, right? So we can usually what we do for larger connection, we keep that as 2 or 3, and for smaller files, we keep it to 1. Okay.
we need to do it this level only. We don't want to do anything at a snowflake level,
No, no.
right?
Snowflake level, the only thing you can do, you can use a large warehouse then. Excel warehouse or the 2 Excel warehouse or L warehouse, right? So the better warehouse you use, the better will be performance, right? Yeah, clear? So yeah. So this as well, I can parameterize. Okay, I can create you can say an environmental variable for this RDS endpoint, and I can use that variable here instead of this giving this name in real-time project. Okay. Now
Actually, I have a question.
Mhm,
I have a question.
mhm.
By using only database, why Unix? Why we should use?
Sorry.
We are getting data from database, right?
Mm-hmm,
That database also like we installed in AWS cloud.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So again, why we need to go for Unix?
Where here?
Yeah.
No, this is just for illustration I have, provided you. So basically, let's say in your real-time project, you have one database, source database, and you need to pull the data from it. So you will not insert any data there because the data your application team will populate. So here, since we don't have any database created, right? So we had created one database earlier. I mean, launched the MySQL, and we had loaded some sample data, into that database. And then we are basically using our Matillion. We are querying that
Yeah.
database and getting the data.
I agree with it. Normally, like like how we did it, a Snowflake. For example, if a database directly, then we can populate files, right? You mean to say Unix used to place files? Is it right? Or
Unix I use to load some sample data to my database, nothing else.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because my database was empty, right? When I created in
Yeah.
AWS.
Instead of that, directly we can run queries also, right?
Queries on what?
Insert statement, create statement directly also we can write, right? In database, AWS.
Yeah, yeah, write that. But I mean, is it possible for you to load your 3 lakhs rows manually for you? No, right?
Because of that, just you used Unix.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
I just loaded that, right?
But apart from that,
Yeah,
there is no usage of Unix.
correct. There is no usage. Yeah, because I was having no other way to load the data to that database, right? So that's why I use the simple MySQL command line, and I have loaded that sample data, right? Usually, so our source team will populate data in those databases, right? Usually, our application team. We just need to fetch it and write the query. Right. Yeah. So now, guys, I want you to try this out since this is a new category of component. So I just pinged you the IP address for Matillion. So create a new job and pull in the RDS query component. Okay, and try this out. I'll wait for a minute. Are you able to log in to Matillion? Ramana, Fahad, Sudha.
Yeah, I'm able to log in from.
Okay. Yeah. So just create a new job and pull the RDS query component and send these things.
I'm sharing my screen, Nitin.
Okay, sure.
Nitin, can you ping us the RDS endpoint? Uh,
That will come within the drop down
okay, yeah,
because we all are using the same instance, right?
yeah, okay.
Are you able to see, Nitin? And
Yeah. Not MS SQL. You need to select MySQL. MS SQL is Microsoft SQL Server, right? So in the database type, in the properties, select MySQL. Yeah. This is the database URL that we launched. Database name is employees in small employees. Yeah. Username is admin. And in the password, go to password. Yeah. Drop down. See if you yeah MySQL pass. Now see yeah if you can wait here. Now if you see guys why you are able to see MySQL password variable here, though I have created that, it is because this password manager it stored the password at the instance level. Okay, so it is accessible to you as well within your project, right? Yeah. Right queries. Let's just select star from employees. If you want to give column names, you can give that. Okay, instead of selecting star employees. Yeah. Just check sample. Yeah. Yes, you are able to fetch of the sample data. Yeah. Now here you have configured the source data, source related information. Now let's configure the target related information. So in where database, just the JDBC option, as I said, if you need to have enter in JDBC, you can click that, but we don't have any options as of now. That's okay. Yeah. Go back to database, select your database and warehouse and all. Usually instead of using the static, we'll use the variable usually, right? In our real-time project. Do you have variable created for it? Environmental variable, Sudha?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so so just click outside a bit. Yeah, use variable. Click on use variable. So you will just have some practice. Search for your DB name. Yeah, orders DB. Yeah, click OK. Similarly, use schema as public, or that default is set to public as well. See if you have, yeah, select that public. Do we have the environmental variable created for that as well? No, I think no, we don't have. So let's use the this only public. Now give your target table name. Give like stage underscore employee or stg underscore employee, whatever. Yeah, yeah. Click OK. Now in the Amazon location, you can select your bucket name MTL2. So it will go to same our AWS bucket. Encryption is none. You can click cancel. Concurrency okay. If you want to keep it 2, you can keep it 2. If you want to keep it 1, that's also fine. And load options. Yeah. Now here clean stage file, yes, keep it on because now yeah, just one thing which I got, which I forgot to tell you earlier is why we use this usually this clean stage file off when we keep this off, right? Usually if you need to debug anything, right? That if you are seeing that your data which is available in source that is not coming correctly as in target, right? So to debug that, what you can do, you can keep that clean stage file as off. You can then load some sample data, and then since you will be having that file on your AWS, you can download that file and check whether my file is getting correctly populated from source result or not. Okay, yeah. Then recreate, yeah, you can keep that on. And file prefix, if you need to give, you
Clean
give.
stage file. Staged file means actually what exactly
Clean
it
stage
means.
file means the files which will be created at AWS S3, right, location, that
Okay.
will get deleted once the data is loaded to Snowflake.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So as I said, it's a three-step process. First step, fire the source query. Second step, store that data in some temporary files on S3 location. Third step, load that file to Snowflake.
Okay.
So after loading, that
String
file
null
will
is
get deleted.
null off means
Yeah, you can keep it on or off, anything. So if
nulls are allowing, right? Allowing or not
yes,
allowing?
yes,
On
no,
means allowing.
no. The thing is that if if your file contains the NULL as a string, right? So that will
Mm.
assume that as a database null. So that is what it is telling, right? So we can keep it on because that null is actually a null for us, right? Yeah. If you
Recreate
want to,
target table means
yeah,
I am giving new table I am creating directly by using this job.
yeah, you can keep it on. I mean, if you run this next time the same job, that will again that table will get dropped and created again. Okay, so it's
File
up to you
prefix.
whether you want to do.
File prefix.
So that's okay. You can keep that empty. So file prefix, as I said, right? The file which will get created on AWS S3. If you want to give some prefix, you can give
Name.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
name. Just a prefix, but it will assign again some different name to that. Yeah, that's it.
Trim string column.
Yeah, if you want to trim that, right, remove the
Okay.
spaces. Yeah, and
Compression type.
yeah, compression type is something if you want to compress your file which is getting stored temporarily on S3, right? So usually for
Mhm.
larger file, we select the gzip. For smaller file, we don't select anything. Okay, yeah,
Here also
click.
use grid variables. Mhm.
Yeah, so to pass, but yeah, for now we can just click OK and now run it. Now what it will do, it will fire the query on database, it will fetch the data, store it in some temporary files, and then it will load those files to Snowflake. Yeah, run job. Yeah, click on the task history. Yeah, no, no, not yeah, there. Expand that. Yeah, you see the rows got loaded. Right, 3 lakhs. You can go back to Snowflake Workbench if you have that open, and you can check there.
For me, it has taken 10 seconds. For you,
Yeah,
it has taken 8 seconds.
yeah, it's like they depend on network and all. Right? So that query, I mean, time usually lies in between average time, but yeah, that will not be same, right, every time because of database resources which are busy. If you are all three are firing the queries at the same time, then again uh, that will be yeah, okay.
Yeah, normally, if you have a like, if I create any trial version for AWS, directly like I can pull these files into database. That's enough, right? To practice these
Yes,
things.
yeah, yeah. No, as I said, right, I have yeah, yeah. So to practice that, yes, you can do that. Yeah. So this is how we can basically use the RDS data, RDS query component. Okay. Now, guys, for Matillion, right? Now, since this is an database, relational database, okay, if you want to load data from any other external sources, okay, so the working is pretty similar. Okay, now try to get me. Okay, so what we are doing here, we are giving the source information, we are giving the temporary file information and the target information, right? Now, even if I use, let's say, some different Couchbase query component. Couchbase is a NoSQL database. Okay, and if you see here, the working is pretty simple. Okay, it will still asking you for the server. Here we are given the RDS endpoint. Then we have username and password. Here also here username and password. Okay, then here we have data source, and here they have the database name. Okay, so working is pretty similar in terms of if when you use any external data loading component. Okay, like the way we have given SQL query, here also we can write our SQL query. The same thing here, we need to give our snowflake related properties, and same goes with here, right? So the working is pretty similar in terms of using other queries. If you use any other, let's say we have MongoDB, right? It's the same. Your URL server, then a bit of your target table details, right? That's it. Okay. So, yeah, and now this we have seen the data. If you need to get the data from AWS RDS, right? Let's say if you have on-premises database, then you can use the database query component. Okay, to get the data from on-premises database. But here the things are same. Okay, then select your database, Redshift, Amazon DB2, Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, Netezza, Oracle, Postgre, again Snowflake, different Snowflake account, Teradata, SQL Server, like that. So when you select that, just give your JDBC URL like this. Right? On RDS, we were having the RDS endpoint. Okay, here I need to give the JDBC URL, right? JDBC URL, then our host name, that is URL, IP name, and then database name. That's it. And the same
Actually,
thing then. Mhm.
I can load by using Redshift to Azure database, right?
Where it is that given?
Normally this way, whatever
No, no.
database,
So whatever the options are available, see, these query component are to fetch the data from this database to Snowflake, not to load to data to any other databases.
for that
Okay,
what we need to use.
no, so for that, what you will need to use is you will need to basically okay, so I will let you know on that part. So that is not directly possible, but yeah, we'll tell you. So with the database query component as well, the same thing we need to do. Give the query, right, and give your Snowflake details. That's it. Concurrency and all the same, right? So this is how you can use any other query component.
For Redshift to Redshift, in case, for example, we have a DB, so I need to use same same DB source and target. In that case, is that okay for RDS query only, or we need to use
No,
some?
as I said, right, the target it will accept only as Snowflake, right? Database schema. The only thing we are changing is source.
We are changing source. Like, is
Yeah,
it possible?
no, it is not
No,
possible. No, using RDS query component, it is not possible to load to let's say Amazon Redshift or not. But
like for
having said that, if you have your Matillion platform as a Matillion for Redshift, then your target will be Redshift instead of Snowflake. Okay.
so here, can we do one of the scenario can add from source to target as a Redshift both the ways? No, not possible at all.
In this RDS query component, it is not possible.
By using any other component, is it possible in
Yeah,
this
I'm telling you
material?
that. So what
Hey,
you
Nitin,
can do?
sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt here. Maybe a really basic question. How do I log back into Snowflake? What's the URL?
Okay, login back. So what you can do, you can go back to your email, and there you must have received an email from Snowflake, and there your URL that they have must be given. Otherwise, if you have your project, right, you can go to Matillion environment, and you can get you this.
Okay,
This is your account.
perfect. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah. So using data transfer component. Okay, so what you can do is so if so there is, you can say, multi-step process. Okay, so what you need to do is the way, if you remember here where I use the component uh, S3 load component, right? So what it is doing, it is loading data from S3 to Snowflake, right? There is a another component which is S3 unload, that is doing the reverse process. Okay, when I say reverse process, that means it is unloading the data from Snowflake to S3. So what you can do, you can use that S3 unload component. Okay, so that will unload your file, okay, from your Snowflake table to the file on S3. And once that file is available on S3, you can use data transfer component. Using the data transfer component, you can select your source as S3, right? Because your file is on S3. And then you can select your target as Azure Blob Storage. And once the data is in Azure Blob Storage, then you need to, sorry, not Azure. Uh, yeah, sorry. So once the data is available on S3, then you will have to write your custom Python script, okay, to load that to Amazon Redshift. So there is no direct component available to load to here. Okay, got it? So for you, if your data is already in Snowflake, what you need to, you need to use S3 unload component that will unload the data to S3. And the way we have that copy command, right, in Snowflake, the Redshift also has a copy command. So using that copy command, you can load it to Amazon Redshift, and you will have to use your custom Python component there, or Python
For
script.
example, like already we have a like files in S3 bucket.
Yeah,
So if I
then
wanted to load S3 bucket to database, again I should go for Python component.
yes, yeah. So write your Python script and have your Redshift connector there imported, and write this copy command. Same thing. The way we write for Snowflake, right? Copy from, then give your S3 details here, right? S3 file name.
For that, actually, what we can use S3 upload, S3 unload.
To get the data to S3, yes, we need to use S3 unload, that will unload the data from Snowflake to S3. And the earlier component which we have used was S3 load, that will load the data to Snowflake from S3. So S3 unload
Yeah,
is
already we have a file
most,
set S3. So which one I can use to load the data to
then
Redshift?
no, then we don't need to use this. You will just need to write your Python component and write it there. Custom Python script you will need to write.
RDS query also not required, right?
No, RDS query is not required. You will have to write your custom Python connector. So you will have that Python connector, right?
Wicked
I,
coding actually.
yeah,
Actually, if you are in AWS and you wanted to load into AWS, you don't need a Matillion or Snowflake in between.
in that case, yes, you can say.
We are
Correct.
not using AWS, right?
So you are
No,
saying
no.
you wanted to load it in from S3 to
Yeah, right.
Redshift, right?
Mm.
So that S3 is in AWS only, na? So let's say you will have that file here, and then you will write your Python component, and there you will use your this Redshift connector, okay? And using the Redshift connector, you can connect to your Redshift cluster and write a copy command there. That's it. Just like this, right? Execute. Then you can
Can
write
we
your
do once
copy.
this one? Can we do once?
No, actually, this is out of this, you can say, training course. That will take time, right? Because we need to launch the Redshift cluster. We need to connect to that. You need to have the Python connector and all. So that is not in our training course. This is completely different scenario. Okay. So this is up to your Python skill, right? How do you know the Python? And it's easy, right? So see the connection itself, you got that. So once you get your host name, right? Redshift hostname, the database username and password, that is what you need. And same what you need, cursor.execute copy command, write your copy command. That's it. Nothing else.
Apart from Snowflake, like if you wanted to load data anywhere, like we need to go like this. We need to create
Yes.
clusters,
Custom.
connectors.
Correct.
That is
Yes.
better.
Custom
Like
scripts.
we can go one or two examples. Like
No.
Python normally, like even not sure actually how to connect and all myself.
Yeah. So yes. See, I mean that
Later,
is
not
your
no later, Nitin.
No. So that is not possible actually in the given timeline. Yeah. So let me tell you that frankly, that's not possible because it is completely different topic, right? Okay. So my thing is here not to tell you how to connect, how to use the Python or how to which Python connector to use to connect to AWS Redshift, right? But as I told you, that's yeah, we'll cover this Python script component. Okay, what is useful within the Matillion? So we'll cover that. But that is a something different topic, right? We'll have to launch our Amazon Redshift and all, correct? So we'll
Even at least Azure database also fine. I have access to Azure database.
yeah. So Azure database. So for that Azure database, the same thing you will need to write it. You will need to write your custom component, custom Python
Yeah,
script, right?
yeah,
So
that
that
is
that
what
is the
we
same
can.
thing, right? Yeah. So you can get that code from Google, right? Connecting to
Uh,
your Azure and
Nitin,
all.
Nitin,
Hmm.
on I'm getting one issue like my job is successful and it is showing that 300K records loaded. I'm not able to query the uh, table name. It is showing like table name does not exist or not
Yeah. Can you please
authorized.
share?
Yeah. I had given the
What is your table
name
name?
as SF employees.
Okay, it's in the small case. So your table name is case sensitive actually when you give
Oh,
it small case. But that's okay. Go to worksheet, right? Yeah. So write this in double quotes, just it. sf.employees.
okay, okay.
So what does that do if you write it within quotes?
Yeah, so that is a Snowflake syntax, right? I mean, usually from any external application, if you
Okay.
specifically from Matillion, if you write it in smaller case, so basically what Matillion does now, Matillion enclosed whatever you write in the target table in double quotes. Okay, so if you write it in smaller case, and so Matillion will enclose that smaller case within double quotes, so that becomes case sensitive in Snowflake. If you write it in uppercase, still it will enclose that in double quotes, but the uppercase table can be accessed on the Snowflake directly, right, without giving double quotes. Okay.
No, I'm not sure if I followed. So on Snowflake itself, the table name is case sensitive.
Yes, table name is case sensitive.
So the table is in lower or uppercase in Snowflake in this case.
Usually the tables are created in uppercase, but if you, while creating table, if you specify the double quotes
Hmm.
and if you give that your table name is lowercase, then that table name will become a case sensitive.
I
Okay.
mean, regardless, it's still case sensitive, right? But what you're saying is when
No,
during the
but yeah. So if you see here, so in RDS query now he has given the table name in uppercase, right? Now let's go back to workbench, Ramana.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Now I dropped the
Now,
old one.
yeah,
Yeah.
and now just select using smaller case. Select star from smaller case SF employee. Still, you will be able to select that.
no, he just dropped it, right? You're missing a Y.
No. But we have created no EMP LO. Your spelling is not.
Sorry.
Yeah.
OY.
So the uppercase table can be accessed using either lowercase or uppercase.
TLOY,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, here it is not there. SF
No, no,
employee.
it's misspelled. Employees, LOYE.
Yeah. No. So just do one thing. Click on this demo DB on the left corner.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
should be
Here you
showing.
see. So what happened, Fahad, that earlier we had created the table with smaller case, right? Raman has created this table with smaller case. Now what Matillion does, Matillion gives the double quotes or enclose that string smaller case into double quote. Okay, and now in Snowflake, if you want to create a case sensitive table names, you need to create that in double quotes while creating the table. Okay, now however, if you create the table using uppercase, okay, with or without double quote, then your table can be accessed without case sensitivity. Okay. So
Okay.
if we see here, SF employee he has given in capital. So this table can be accessed using capital letters or small letters or combination of them. It is just that the table name should be appropriate. Okay.
Okay. So you're saying within the Matillion, if
Yeah.
you configure your target table as uppercase, then it searches for both lowercase and
Yeah.
uppercase in the
Yeah.
database. If one of them
Yes.
exists, you will grab it.
Yes.
So in this case, what happens in your database if you have both SF employees in lowercase and uppercase?
That is what, right? So what it will do now? Uh,
Mhm.
it will enclose first this SF underscore employee, which is in capital, which is enclosed in the double quote.
Yeah.
Okay. So that double quotes mean it will search for either upper or smaller. Sorry, like specifically if that upper is present, then it will give you load the data. If that is the same table is present in smaller case, then it will get the error. Okay, while loading at least. Yeah, get this DDL. No, so give table first. Wait. Give table, right? Table. I mean the table word. Yeah.
Okay, object type.
Object type. Yeah. Table. Yeah. Then comma. Yeah. And run it. So you see, this table was created in uppercase, right? Now just copy this, Ramana, if you can just copy, yeah, copy it and create this with lowercase now.
Nitin, how it manages to capture the schema? I mean, I was expecting this all columns should have should have created with
Yeah, in
where care.
uppercase.
Yeah,
Okay,
where
varchar,
care.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
what you can do now? Now let's try that. What you can do instead of now in Matillion we have set that option, right? The recreate target table. So it is creating the target table again and again. What
Hmm.
we can do usually, what we follow, we create this table once and we
Hmm.
keep that function or keep that option as off. That don't create the target table again because that is already created. Okay. So it will simply load the data in that table. Okay. So you can define anyway. Now let's say if you want to define your first name as varchar of 100, so you can define that here, varchar of 100. Okay.
Maybe it might have reconciled AWS S3 data type format with
Yes. Yeah.
SFM.
Yes, exactly.
Snowflake.
Yeah. Yes. When you keep that re recreate target table as on, that will recreate the target table every time. But if you don't want, you can keep it as off, and you can define you can create your table once using, let's say, Snowflake Workbench, and you can
Yeah.
give your data type as per your need, varchar 1000, varchar 1 lakh, whatever you need.
Yeah, I think it is a good idea to create it in dev environment
Correct.
once and you get the schema and you can create it in upper
UATM
environment.
product. Right. Yeah. That is what we should follow. We should not,
Oh,
I mean, usually in production, we don't create or replace the table, right? That is risky.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, so let's say I think so if we create the stage employee table in smaller case, right? What would happen?
Yeah.
Um, Now if, even if I give here in smaller case, it will work because my this table was created using a case insensitive DTL, right? This is my thing. Now what I will do, I will create a table like this, stage EMP, right? Because the table name is same, right? Stage EMP, just the case sensitivity is there, right? And if I need to create, what I can do, I can define this 100. Okay, let me select the public schema. Okay, I have created this table, right? Now what I will do here, I will put this name, stage uh, let's say stage EMP like this. Okay, now what it will do, it will put this in the double quotes, and this, since this table is not exist, it should give me the error, right? Because we have a table which is in capital letter, which is case insensitive, and we have a one case sensitive table which this stage EMP, but I am giving this capital MP in my table name here, so it should fade already. Let's see. Oh, it has loaded. Not sure which table it has loaded. Oh, sorry, it has created a table. Sorry for that. Because my recreate target table was on. I will keep it off. Okay, still it has loaded. Now it has loaded to which? Okay. Sorry, my bad. I will have to first drop this table, which got created using earlier, and which was that? Yeah, this was the chart table. Now this table is not exist, but I have the table which is called STG small capital E small MP. But here I am giving capital EMP. Now let's see what happens. Okay, still it has got loaded. Strange. How? Okay, we should not create the table stage. Got it. Yeah, the thing is that what is happening is in this RDS query component, right? What it checks is if the table is not exist. Okay, it simply creates that table with that name. Okay, that means what happened is earlier we dropped this stage capital EMP table, right? But still it has created that table again. Because what it does is if that table is not present, the one which is passed, then that table gets created. Okay, and this is what, right? So since it has not loaded into this table stgemp, but it has checked that whether this table was present, so this table was not present, so it has created that table with the case sensitive name, and then it has uh, you know basically loaded that data. Clear? Right, if we give this exact this name stgemp, okay, then it will load the data in this stgemp. So let's say if I give here stgemp, because while sending the query, right, it just send that in double quotes, that becomes the case sensitive. You'll observe that more with this here. Yeah, you see in the double quote it is saying, if you give in double quotes small SA people, then that will not work. Yeah, this job is run. Now it should have loaded into this stage EMP. If I refresh this, yeah, it has loaded this 3 lakhs record, but it has not loaded into this, right? Because we have given this table name. I hope that is clear now, the case sensitivity. Okay. Yeah, so I will share this document with you later when I share everything. Now, next thing I want to cover is the shared jobs. Okay. So, when we work on uh, Informatica, right? So we can create our worklet and job maplets, right? Or in Talent, we create joblets, correct? So shared job is nothing but whenever you have any common jobs, right, which is getting used for some some common purpose, okay, that you can create as a shared job. Okay, so shared job basically packages one or more job into a single custom component, right? That means a new job will be created, and you can convert or package one or more job into one single job. Okay, then shared job component can be used in any other job. Okay, like let's say if you have any common job, right, that can be used in any other job. And importantly, only only orchestration job can be converted to the shared job. Okay, so you cannot convert uh, the transformation job to shared job. So if you right click on transformation job, you will not get any shared job option. However, if you right click on, let's say, orchestration job, you will get that generate shared job option. Okay, now uh, and multi yeah, now basically why do we need the shared job? Okay, like let's say if I let's say um, uh, you know yeah, so let's say if this is my common job, consider that, and that I need to use in multiple jobs. So what I can do, I can simply drag and drop this job into multiple jobs, right? In whichever job I need, correct? So this same job can be used, correct? It is just for me, it is just a matter of dragging this common job to my different parent jobs, correct? But now here what happens is, so in Matillion, remember, okay, so in Matillion only one instance of a job can run at a time. Okay, what does that mean is, now let me first show you. Yeah, so let's say if I trigger this job multiple times, 3 times, you see, rest other two are in queue unless and until this job gets completed. This is the same job which I have triggered. Okay, yeah, so the first is completed, next the second is running, and next it is still in the queue, right? So in Matillion, only one instance of a job can be run at a time. Okay, right? So what will happen, right? Here, if we, let's say this is my common job, which is doing some common functionality, let's say auditing some process or something, right? So this job is getting used in my 15 job, correct? In real time in production, right? So the same job, that means the same job is getting called by my 15 jobs, right? And if, let's say, out of 15, let's say there are 2 or 3 or 5 jobs which are running at the same time or which are scheduled at the same time. So what they will do, they will try to call this job, sorry, they will try to call this job at the same time, right? And now I have just shown you only one instance of a job can be run at a time. That means what it does, it just conflicts with the other one. Okay, so what will happen, let's say if my 5 jobs, I trigger it concurrently, and all the 5 jobs is using the same common job, okay, which is doing some common processing. So let's say if first job gets the resources first, and if immediately second job gets the resources, what second job will assume that he will see that this job is already running because this is a common, right? So it will not run that job from the second job. Okay, so there are some conflicts which may happen, okay, if we include the same common job or the same job in multiple jobs and all are scheduled at the same time. That means they all 5 jobs will trigger my common job at the same time, and there can be some issues, right? Because only one instance of a job can run at a time. Okay, now for this feature we have a shared job concept. Clear on this part first, or any question?
Normally, for example, for usage only shared job, right? Whether it is running used 5 times or 10 times,
Mm-hmm.
but job is using within job, like it is called shared job.
No, no, no. That is just a job we are calling. Shared job is when we create that. Let's say, let's consider that this is my common job, right? So this is a kind of a another job which I'm calling from my this parent job. So for this is a child job. But let's say if this job is getting called from multiple jobs, and all those
Hmm.
multiple jobs are scheduled at the same time. That means they will trigger at same time. That means they will run this component at the same time, right? Right?
Hmm.
That, so in that case that may be a conflict. Okay, that other job may see is like say, hey, I have already triggered this job, then I will not trigger it, right? Because, but this job was triggered by some different parent job. Okay, so
Yeah.
that may be some issue while calling the your common jobs, your common purpose jobs. Okay, right? But if let's say you have 5 jobs and all are using the same common job, but they are scheduled at the different time, that there is no overlap between them, then that is fine. Okay, but usually if we have any common functionality, we create the shared jobs. Okay, now how to create that shared job? Okay, uh
New job.
wait. So mm
Better to go for new job. Understand?
Yeah, I'm doing that, man. Just let me at least see what scenario I can cover. I'm doing that only. Yeah. So what we can do is, let me create a copy of this job first. Okay, and then I will create a new job. Okay. So what I did, this is just to make a shared jobs. Okay. Now, uh, let's say something like 9.1 or 9.1 I'm creating, and then I'm giving that like load or um, file processing. Okay, file processing job, let's say. Okay, yeah. So if you see what I'm doing, I am now let's say I need to convert this to a shared jobs. Okay, and I need to call it from my external thing. Okay, so for now what I'm doing, let's say uh, what I will do is, let's say I will just or for now I will just delete this. Okay, now what I need to do is, so let's say this is my file processing job, this is my common job, and let's say I have 10 files, but client is saying that schedule these 10 files are coming at a different time, right? That is possible, correct? My files can come at different time. Okay, so client is saying I will send you file at different files times, and once you process this, just process this respective dimension table. Okay, now what we are going to do is, we're trying to convert this job to shared job, and then we will call it from some parent job, and we'll pass one variable to that for which file or table I need to run. Okay, so based on our file loading info. Okay, so let's say initially I'm trying to load it from people.txt. So what I will do here, basically I will just apply a filter, or before that let me create a job variable, uh, like say JB input file. Okay, and here I'm giving some name as dummy as of now. So I've created JB1 input file. Now what I will do here, I will use active equal to y and file name, and file name equal to, now instead of using the hard-coded name, what I will do, I will use the JB input file here. Okay, so as of now, since it's dummy, it will not give me any data, right? Because the default value is dummy here, right? So I use that. Now what I can do as one thing is, I can create another orchestration job, let's say 92 ORC process people. Okay, so now simply if I need to call my file processing job, what I will do, I will call it here, correct? This I did, and then once my file is getting loaded to SF people, let's say I will process my dimension. Okay, this is kind of an end-to-end flow, right? Now if I open this, right here, what we have given, we have given file name equal to JV input file name, right? So this I will set from my parent job now. So what I will do, I will come here and I will pass the JV input file name as this people.txt file name, right? Because let's say I want to process my people.txt as one job, because see, for now, why we use that grid variable, because our all files were present at the same time, right? So in real time that will not be the case, right? So what I'm doing, I'm setting up a variable of my child job, which is JV input file, and I'm setting the value to people.txt. Now what it will do, basically, when this job runs, the value will get set in the JV input file of the child variable. The value will be as people.txt. Then it will come here. It will come in this query, and this will get replaced by people.txt. So it will get the data for the people.txt, and it will load the data in. Okay. Now if I need to run it, let's try to run using this, whether it's correctly loading or not. Okay. Yeah. It has loaded. It has gone into your child job. Okay, query result to 1, yeah, and it has loaded the SF people, and then it has loaded the dim people table. Okay, now what if my this job is getting used by multiple jobs, right? This is a common job, right? Now instead of, if I need to pass orders, what I can do, I can simply pass here orders.txt. or let's say if some different job is created, okay, and let's say this is the job for orders, what I can do, I can pass here orders, right? That means the same job is getting a call, right, from here as well and from here as well. The job is same, right? Even if I open this or if I come here and open this, the job is same. What matters is we are passing the different variable. The here people.txt, here orders.txt. That means now if these two jobs are scheduled at the same time, that means just a second. Let me start the charging. Yeah. So what will happen is the same job will get called. So as I said, in Matillion, only one instance of the job can be run at a time, right? At the end, even if this job is calling this job, that means this job is running internally, and at the same time, this job is also calling, that means the same job is running internally. Now, since only one instance of a job can be run at a time in Matillion, this could be issue at some point in time if you have the concurrent or if you have scheduled multiple job at the same time. For that case, what we can do is instead of simply dragging and drop in here and inputting that as a normal job, what we can do is we can convert our file processing job to a shared job. So how do we do that? Just right click here, you see generate shared jobs. So click on that. Now here we'll create a new. Now it basically just package that. So the way in our Java, right, we have that package names and all. So we just need to provide some here package name, right? So let's say I'm giving this training or tr dot let's say September. Okay, so this dot my some different, let's say Matillion. So usually we give your organization name. Let's say if you have organization called ABC, so ABC, okay, dot your project name. Let's say your project name is finance and dot let's say MTL is Matillion or SJ, that is shared jobs. So this package will get created. Okay, so I'm giving now let's say training dot September dot MTL. So this package I have created. Within that package I will have my shared jobs, and where it will appear, let me show you first. In the shared job, what it will do, it will first create these folders within that kind of package. Okay, so what I'm doing, training let's say dot September dot MTL, I have this package created, and here what I'm doing, I'm giving submit name, let's say what is file processing, right? Let's say I'm giving common, there is cmn underscore file process job. Okay, common file process job. Revision is which revision, whether it's a first version or second version. So this is my first version. You can, so this is a normal icon with which the shared job will come. So you can give description here. So what I did, I created a shared job from the orchestration job. I have given the package. I have given my shared job name, that is common file process job. Revision is 1. If I go to next, then I need to say like what is my root job, right? So root job is my this file processing job, because this I need to make as a shared job, correct? So I have selected that. You can select any other as well. So I'm selected that. Everything is okay, and then I can click on next. Then it is asking me for all the variables. Okay, now which all these variables? These are the variables which are coming or which are defined at the job, that job level within these jobs, right? Within this job, if you see, we have JV delimiter, JV file, JV table, JV input file, and also one grid variable, right? All this. But what all things we need to pass? We just need to pass JV input file. So for rest, I will what I will do, I will uncheck this required box. So I don't require that, right, as a compulsory, because that will get set within my job only. But what I need to pass from my parent job, I need to pass JV input file, right? Orders.txt or people.txt. Okay, so I'm passing this. So I'm just what I did, I just selected that as a required. So my compulsory input is JV input file. With that value, I need to set from my parent job, and that will get passed to my child job, right? Rest all these variables are internally using by the child job only, our file processing job, correct? So these are the variables of that only. So I'm selecting OK here. Now, if you come here, you will see in the shared job, we have that package like tr training September MTL, and we have this common job created or shared job created. Now what I will do, I will simply drag and drop here. Now this will be my shared job, right? And here what compulsory thing I need to pass is JV input file. So what I will do, I will pass here, let's say people.txt. Okay, and now what will happen if I run this? It will internally call our this job. Okay, this is packaged actually, and then it will process my end-to-end job. So if I run it now, you will see here. Okay, this is my common file processing job, right? Which is this common file processing job. And within this, this is a kind of UDF it creates internally. Okay, it is revision 1, right? It is saying that, and then it starts query result to grid and grid iterator. So what is this? What are these variables? These are the variable from my actually this job, which I converted this to shared job, right? So here the same thing which I was doing earlier, that will get executed, and then my rest of my this dimension job. Okay, so what I did, I just converted this job to shared job, and I passed the JV input file from this. Even if you see these are getting passed here, okay, you can just remove it. Okay, because this variable will get set from that child job only, right, which is loading. Yeah, that's it. But if you do this, it will say input required. Why? Because this we made as a compulsory variable. Okay, any question here on shared job?
For better understanding purpose, like we can go for any batch or any like auditing table, right? Previously we created one of the table like system variables, like for example job ID, job name, all the details we mentioned. If I take any job, if I run any
Yeah,
job, mm,
yeah. So you can convert any job. So it's up to
normally
you.
that can be like normally useful scenario. A processing batch ID example, like if I am using any job, if I am generating any job, in between I need to maintain batch ID kind of real
Uh-huh.
time scenario wise. Like if you practice, then it would be good, right?
Yeah, then yeah. So it's, as I said, right? So it's up to you what you want to convert that to shared job. So let's say if this is my batch process, right? And I just want to make an entry into my history table. So what I can do, maybe I will create two orchestration job. One is for, let's say, job uh, insert audit. Okay, I will click it here, and let's say let me just make it this job. Okay, and now what I will do, instead of job name, I will create one variable here, job variable, that for which job I need to make an entry, right? So I will may say JV input job, let's say. Okay, and default is, let's say, dummy. Okay, even if you don't give here, that's okay. Now what I will do, instead of job name here, I will use JV input job, right? And now this variable I will pass from my parent job. Okay, now what I just created this one audit job. Now let's say what I will do is, now I can have multiple shared jobs. So before even calling this, let's say I want to make an audit entry. What I will do first, job insert audit, right? Yeah, so I will convert this to a shared job. So I will right click. Okay, now the package I will use same. Okay, so tr.sap.mtl. Okay, name I'm giving something like, let's say, common insert audit. Okay, I'm giving this name. Now, which is my job? Job is the same, job insert audit entry. Clicking next. What is my required? JV input job, right? Which variable which I just created in job insert audit, right? This is my required. I will click OK. Yes, my job has got created. I will use this. And then I will trigger this. So it will require some input job name. Now here, what I need to do, which job I am running? This job, right? 92 ORC people file. So I can give this job name. So instead of hard coding that, we have that job variable name, right? Job name variable. I will use that job name. Okay. So now, and the same thing, what you can do for update as well. The way we did here, where is that? Yeah, the way we did here, the update, right? The same thing we can So the same you can, what you can do, you can create another job, that is job update audit, and you can pass it here. And then instead of job ID, so you can use that job ID and pass from your parent job, right? So what I'm doing, if I running now, right, it will make an entry into one audit history. Okay, let me check why it is not created the entry. 92 ORC process people. Okay, it has created the entry. Project ID, project name, job ID, JV input ID. Okay. Yeah, I will have to pass the job ID as well. Yes, so let me try to run it. Okay, it is not taking job ID. I need to pass it from the parent ones. So what I will do, I will create, let's say, JV job ID as one variable. Okay, that is default is not required, let's say. Yeah, so I have used the JV job ID here. Now what, now since I have modified this, right? So my shared job is not yet changed. So what I need to do, I will also rebuild one more time. So I will again go back, create it. Now instead of using, I will select my existing, okay, CMN, insert audit. For now, I will just keep it version revision 2 because I don't want to increase that. I will keep it as 1 only. Okay. And here, yes, JV job ID is also required. So I will click OK. It is just saying that whether you need to overwrite your existing job. So just put your job name, it is saying. So I have given that my, yeah. And now, yeah, it is asking me for the JV job ID. So what I will do, I will pass a job ID from here. Now let's see. Yeah, now it is inserted, right? So we need to pass both. So what we did, we have passed the job ID and we have, passed the job name from parent job and start time, right? So that we have converted our audit job to shared jobs, right? So from this audit job which we have created, so we have created using this job, correct? And actually, when we're running this, it is calling this job, or not calling, but it is trying to run whatever the job or the component it was there inside this job, and then it was calling my file processing job, and at then it is calling my dimension job. So why this should not be converted to shared job is this is not something like common job, right? But our audit job is a common job, or my file processing job is a common job, so I will convert them to shared job. Now this I can use in any of my job. Okay, if I want to use here, I can use that here itself, anywhere. Sorry, not here actually, but in any other job. Let's say here. If I need to use here, I can use that, or if I need to use here, I can use that. For me, it is just a matter of copying those. I just copy, Control V, Control C, and Control V. Yes, for now I don't call this. I don't have to change anything, right? Because now this job name should get picked up. Yeah, you see, this got inserted. Right? So this is how we can, create a shared job, and we can, convert any common job to a shared job. Okay, which have some common functionality.
anything normally, like, in my project, actually, like, we are doing, we may do like kind of standardized rule